Yes, we're back. Here we are yet again. It's the B button, and this time we're on episode 16. I'm your host, Baron Marf, and I'm joined by the man himself, the man of the hour, Angry Link. How you doing, buddy?
Not bad at all.
Yeah? Ready for our hangover week of gaming?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird week, really. Obviously, it's the come down from E3.
Everyone's just got in that sort of faded from the week before, like, oh, I've got no news to talk about. Well, I've blown my load.
It's not that it's having to sort of catch up with everything that wasn't out in those sort of 3 or 4 days, and then there's a lot of drip feeding of other playthroughs and actual opinions as opposed to, oh, here it is, look at it.
Yeah. Actually, news. This is what I thought when I got hold of it. So,
yeah, that's a bit of compilation on some of the games and what we know and what's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. So what about your week? Have you been doing much gaming?
Yeah, well, obviously we've had a pretty solid update with like the PS Plus and the Games of Gold. Mm-hmm. Obviously been blasting through the Crew mainly this week.
Yeah. What do you reckon of it?
Yeah, well, I've written a few positives and negatives down.
All right, okay.
So obviously it's a solid enough game. It sort of handles fairly well. It's not going to light up any simulation fantasies, but
what was it similar to?
I'd say it's almost kind of got that similar feel to Driver.
Okay.
So it's obviously Ubisoft. I'd imagine Reflections have had a hand.
I wasn't a great fan of the driver mechanics for the feel of the vehicle.
Well, they always had a good weight to them.
Yeah, true.
Obviously, there's a lot of options with cameras and
for me,
video you can do.
For me, with like the driver stuff, and once again, I haven't played the Crew yet. It was a bit like the vehicle felt heavy and everything, and it rolled right. I just didn't feel like I had the control on the road.
Yeah.
I felt it was a bit heavy on the steering.
That was big old American muscle cars.
Yeah, true.
So
true.
With a few other different motors in there, but yeah, it's not so bad.
What about car selections on the car?
There is a good sort of variety of cars, going sort of from super and hyper cars down to sort of 350Zs.
What are you currently rocking?
I've got a few different cars.
But what's your go-to vehicle that you're rocking at the moment?
Well, because you've got the different setups with like dirt and performance and street, it depends on what races I'm doing. So I've only got a few cars, but obviously a few different variations of each. So it's sort of whatever's needed for the job, really.
Will you see your sort of like McLaren, MP12s or C? What it's called?
Yeah, you've got a few. I think there's a few
P1s.
Lambos in there. There's not. Obviously, it was out before then. I don't think they've got those in there. But there's a couple of like DLC cars you can buy. Which obviously you've got the McLaren F1, which is still a rapid motor all these years.
64 miles an hour or something crazy?
No, it's, it was the fastest car in the world at the time.
For 12 years, yeah.
But yeah, it's a hell of a lot of...
And they've recently released a new version of it, the long-tail version. But anyway, this is a gaming show. Yeah. We're talking about cars here. But geeking out massively.
It's got it's big and a lot of hours, but I've put that as a plus and a negative because it's absolutely huge. I mean, it's a scaled model of America, or North America, so you can imagine the size of it, really.
Well, you said this was one of the few games that you don't mind you rocking the old fast travel on.
Yeah, it's one that you could easily just sort of hop from mission to mission.
It's a driving game which uses fast travel. Love it. Cool.
Other than that, really, yeah, it's the only other thing is you really got to spend some cash and get the Wild Run stuff because there's loads. It was a big update, so it's definitely worthwhile. There's a lot of new car updates and different settings and all.
Do you know what? I've not heard you as invigorated about talking, like actually being like, yeah, I've been rocking this game, and there's this and there's that about a game for ages. So obviously it has grabbed you. There's got to be something about it.
Yeah, I like my open world driving games. So I love Burnout Paradise, Forza Horizon 2. Obviously, I'm a big fan of. So it's one of those sort of games that you've got a good soundtrack. You can just sort of blast around for hours and miles and miles.
Cool.
So yeah, it's good, and obviously a bit of GTA Online with the new CEO. I can never remember Finance and Felonies or whatever it's called, but the CEO update. So obviously been rocking that.
That's kind of happened quite quietly in the background whilst E3's been on.
Yeah.
But quietly as in the news anyway, because
it's not grabbed the headlines at all.
It's been quite a big update, hasn't it?
Yeah, but they've been doing it for the last sort of 6 months really now, and they every time sort of a big new game or something big in the gaming world
beat
happens,
them back down with GTA.
That's it. It's just
get that Phoenix game back in your face. It's alive again. There it is.
Yeah.
Love it.
We obviously saw the Rebel. We got in amongst with the Bue.
Bue Rebel forces got up in there on GTA. Yeah, and let's be honest, that online update, it's a lot going on. New cars. There's a new car just a couple of days ago. The RTX8.
Yeah.
80, I should say.
Well, it's obviously you've got the cunning stunts update coming in fairly soon. I think it should be in the next few weeks. So that's again another new little refreshing update for the racing and
GTA.
I think they're doing an upgrade to the Fagio as well.
Nice touch, because there's nothing better than Fagio fishing. And for those of you who don't know, Fagio fishing is where you pimp up that little moped on GTA. They'll do it like Fister Pink or Hot Pink or whatever it is. Get it really standing out. Go piss people off, but put a bomb on it. Fishing with a Fagio is brilliant. You watch people drive off in the background, you hit that explosive device, boom, amazing. Got to be done. Anyway, so look, let's bust on over to our bullet bills.
Yeah.
Shall we?
We should unholster that bad boy.
Yeah, let's do this. Shazam, and here we are in our Bullet Bills Big 3, hitting the news topics for this week. And as we were saying, news has been a little bit, I wouldn't say dry, but it's nothing fresh, is it? It's just in-depth stuff.
It's more old than news. But no, so we've had a few bits and bobs. It's mainly DLC updates really this week and releases. So obviously we're going to open it up with the Bespin DLC for Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah. So when you mentioned this earlier on, my first reaction was, unless there's a level up bit, I'm not interested. Which you'll be pleased to know that you can rank up to level 70 now.
Yeah, I've got a reason to go back to that game.
There's also a few more. They've obviously patched a few things. So the pair mechanics now help cool down your star cards and abilities.
Okay.
So obviously when you're in closer proximity, respawns closer to teammates, assists pay out as much as kills now. So there's no more sort of doing most of the work and then someone going, last little crappy shot.
Nice. That's a big shout.
Enemies that kill your teammates will now be highlighted in red. So you can go for the revenge kills a bit easier.
That's an interesting dynamic.
And obviously it comes with the obligatory DLC stuff, so there's obviously the Bespin maps. I think there's maybe some new game modes. Obviously we've covered it previously when we've talked about the release dates for these. Obviously you've got Lando and that other guy. Couple of new weapons and boosters and cards and whatnot.
Yada yada.
Yeah, same wheel out.
You've never really ventured into Battlefront, have you?
No. So I mean,
so does this do it for you? Does this make you want to go out and get it?
No, not really. I mean, I've seen some really good prices for it, but it's one of those though. You always look at it and it's okay. I can spend this 30 quid, but I've got to spend another 35, 40 quid on top of it anyway. It's like bloody The Crew all over again.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got the game free, but I still don't want to have to pay anything.
Yeah, so you should at least get Battlefront for free.
Yeah, you should do.
Yeah.
That's what they should start doing. If they want to start offering games as a service, well, a service is generally free until you start using it, and then you have to pay.
Yeah, fuckers.
But no,
right on.
I mean, it's enough. I think they, like with most DICE games, that you give it a year and it's a lot better for it.
All I'm going to say, Battlefield 4 right now, you can pretty much pick all the DLC up for absolutely free.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have the game, get the DLC for free, delete it, because you never know, the game may go...
Well, they did have all of the games on for really, really cheap, didn't they?
Yeah, it was like
3 or 4 quid or something.
Yeah, exactly. Stupid. It was like a handful of cash rather than notes, yeah.
No.
Cool. So what's our second bullet hole for this week?
Well, I think it's something that you've got a bit more of an elaboration on.
Yeah, okay, I've got to hit it. It's Mighty Number 9. It's been out. We've all seen it's out. We've seen the reviews. This thing's got fucking destroyed. I mean, like, destroyed. And I didn't expect that. I expected this to be something which was, because there were all the delays. And who you've got heading it, Kenji Ifune, Mr. Mega Man,
Himself.
It makes you think, right, surely when it does come out, this is going to be the shit. Yeah, this is going to be the most... It looks slick. It looked reasonably slick. It's got destroyed. People have been bitching about gameplay, like just generally saying that the power-up system's crap, frame rate dropping, graphically it's really bland. I mean, it's just getting hooned out there. What happened? What the fuck happened?
I mean, obviously, old Mr. Inafune, he was in the news this week saying about that if there's any problems, that it's on his shoulders that they fall, kind of thing, which is fair enough.
Great statement to make.
It didn't help that they were trying to release on, I think it's 10 different platforms at the same time.
That's quite a commitment.
Yeah, so I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot a bit with those, and I think it's a case of all of the problems that they're facing are of their own volition and making. Really. I feel bad for them because obviously it was a massively sort of hyped game, and people were really looking forward to it. Obviously the success it had on Kickstarter alone guaranteed that.
But they've been, let's be honest, they've been absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Hammered, I guess, and caught up over and over again with things such as delays and taking flack over their delays.
Yeah. I think like pretty much most of the news about, other than the announcements, like the rest of the news that we've seen about Number 9 has been pretty much negative.
I mean, it's this.
Even when new trailers have been released, they've received really poorly and slated.
But the thing is like you'd think there's certain parts that you just expect to be like down pat, like things like the gameplay mechanics. People are saying things like the power-ups that you get from the bosses at the end, like this first or second one, the second one that you get, kind of then negates the use of the rest of them. Yeah. You don't mind one or two, but the rest are all kind of useless, and you're better off using your main normal gun to beat the bosses.
Yes, I think it's one of those that
they've left behind like the core. I mean, I know it's not Mega Man. I know it's a spiritual successor and all that shit. But there's some bits you'd be like, right, we'll take that and leave that, and
I think it is a case of that. It's really a case. It's where they have, I was saying earlier, developed for so many platforms simultaneously. I think they should have sort of worried about a core 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing. It's an Unreal 3 game, so it can run on PS3 and Xbox. Exactly. It's not. There's nothing to it that greatly.
I don't know.
Pushes it, and you'd think that they'd get the initial gameplay mechanics and, like you say, the hooks right. But I think that if it sells well enough, I doubt it'll ever warrant a sequel.
I stood in a game shop today, and it was like £25
already.
Yeah, and I was like,
in game.
Yeah,
is in someone that will still charge you more for a pre-owned second-hand game than the one's brand new. Wow.
But it's been pitched as a DLC game, but I think that's quite not DLC, but kind of like an indie-esque digital game. And I think £25 is quite expensive. If it was £15, I might be like, I've heard it's Pat, but I like Ken J, and I want to support him doing something else. So I might have a blast on it.
It's one of those though, isn't it? It's very much almost a sneaky tactic, because he knows that there's a lot of gamers out there that are nostalgic for the old school sort of kind of games.
I was ready to press a button on it, but I'm so glad I didn't. Anyway, let's move on to our third bullet hole for this week, which is, it's
more DLC.
Part of our lineup for this week.
As much as you can call it that. Yeah. But you've got the Uncharted 4 multiplayer DLC.
Yeah.
But obviously Naughty Dog, as they announced a few weeks or so ago, it's all going to be free, the multiplayer side of it. So free update, so that's always good. That's going to be dropping on the July the 29th.
Not too long,
which obviously is a few days away.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some new game modes, some new weapons, some new boosters, some new taunts.
Are they putting Donut Drake back in?
I doubt it. They might do eventually, but they're trying to move away from that, aren't they? They're growing up. Obviously, the first new map we should see. Some new skins. There's a few changes to some of the game modes. Obviously, they'll be changing to ranked matches. Custom loadout names, and you could be able to do custom matches now, custom private matches. And there's a new, as of yet unrevealed, or as of yet revealed, feature that they will be talking more about on the 28th in their Twitch stream.
It's a big update.
Yeah, very big update.
It's a beast of an update. If you were sat at home, had a PlayStation 4 in front of you, and Uncharted, would you be downloading this to get on it and try it, or is it still I'm not a great fan of PvP and this ain't going to push me over the edge?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I tried the Uncharted 2 multiplayer. It was right, it's one of those. I'm sure when you've got a good little team of compadres or amigos, then it's good fun. But I'm like you say, I don't mind the co-op stuff. I'm moving away from the more competitive stuff. As my reactions fade with age, it's more and more frustrating than anything than enjoyable. I mean, GTA and just managing to get some deliveries through is all about I can manage nowadays, I think.
I just don't play GTA Online with mass maps simply because it just slows the game down hideously. Makes it really janky.
Does. They shouldn't have worried about extending it to the amount of player count. I think 16, especially with now that there's the vehicles that you can get in there. 16's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, we digress.
We do indeed.
But what about you then? Is it enough to get you clicking back on? Because did you ever get into the multiplayer side of Uncharted?
Do you know what? It's one of those that I played it and I recognise that it's a solid game and I'd really enjoy it. But it's all about who you play with, and our social group don't have a massive sitting in the PlayStation world.
No,
not in this generation anyway. So I mean, I'll definitely download it. I'll definitely give it a blast. And I like experiencing these things, but its staying power is limited due to just because of the social networking bit. But I definitely would give it a bash.
Oh,
cool. Right, well, that's our bullet holes for this week.
It's more BBs, really, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit BBs this week. Yeah,
it's just what's that little tingly bruise? Oh, I've been shot again.
Yeah, Uncharted.
He's got the airsoft gun out.
Yeah, mighty number shit. Right, cool. Let's move on over to our What's the Beef Chief. What is the beef, Chief? It is time to pound that meat. Be the beef, curtains of anger. Link, I'm not sure if this is really beef or whether this is niggles or annoyances, but leaks.
Yeah.
We had a few pre-3 and kind of took the pop out of some of the shows, really.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few developers that sort of have been a bit vocal about it. Some have been quietly miffed. Others have been a bit more. It's one of those things. It's the nature of the beast, as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it did ruin it somewhat. Sort of going in knowing that that's going to be there and this should definitely be there. We covered quite a lot.
Talking of that, I mean, some of the games that were leaked or pre-leaked or call them what you will, some really big titles, wasn't it?
Yeah, but again, it wasn't anything that wasn't known about. It's not like unknown, this is going to be there and people lost their shit.
But I mean, things such for me, Titanfall 2 was the big one for me, that you just kind of thought we were going to see something more of that game. It was, but it's just like, did we need to know about it before the conference or not?
I think it's just one of this sort of generation's tendency with the whole narcissism, isn't it? Sort of look at me, look at how great I am, kind of attitude that.
Whoa.
No, but you know that people have got to obviously express themselves vehemently.
Yeah.
So it's almost because it would have been in rehearsals. Someone would have had their phone, would have recorded it from a shadowy fucking corner and uploaded it to YouTube or NeoGAF.
But how much of this do you think is because I'm quite aware there's. I mean, we've all got this. I mean, we don't because we're not
in the circles.
We're not in the inner circles, indeed. But there's this whole thing about you cannot say anything until this point. But journos know a lot before anything happens, and.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of NDAs and non-disclosure agreements and bits of paper that will get you into trouble if you was to speak out.
And quite often I think if you look at the build-up media before these shows, and you see people saying, "I'd love to see when they're going to do something new with Titanfall and all this sort of stuff," and it's like,
knowing full well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are no real big secrets. Like you say, amongst the community, especially within, like you say, the industry itself.
Yeah.
We've mocked certain sites before where it's just like, oh, here's the headline, such and such has announced that they're making a game. Like you say, a game developer's making a game.
Wow.
They've not got anything on what they're doing, what it's about, even a title, even a code name. It's just they're working on a game, and you're thinking, really? Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the industry inside it's a bit more open and knowledgeable. It's like some of the guys will know what other guys are working on. But
did leaks detract from the E3 experience for you?
Not really.
Do leaks detract away from let's forget the conference itself, and the actual act of here's a new game. So you find out that, let's say they're doing Time Splits 5 or something like that. If they leak it and then they announce it later, does it detract away from the experience for you, or are you just like, any information I can get?
No, not really. Certain games, if it was to a sort of a certain license that I was enamoured by, and there was, like you say, I'm partial to the rumours and some of the speculation. I have a little read and I make my own opinion. But no, I generally tend to avoid them purely on the basis that it's generally really shit footage.
Yeah.
Or I've got to it late and it's already been taken down. So
how many leaks do you reckon are genuine leaks?
I'd probably say it's quite low. I'd say there's a lot more PR machine behind it.
Oh no, it's gone out. Oh yeah, that's right, our new game. Or is it? Oh.
For example,
come back again.
Titanfall. Yeah, let's use that as an example. What was going to get a lot of focus for EA at E3 this year? It's Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had Andromeda as well, that the people were really clamouring for info for, and gameplay and some video. So it was like, here we can generate buzz, here's some more reasons to watch.
Do you want to fight for the attention at E3, or do you want to go, hey, look?
Yeah, I think that there is an element of skullduggery in the machine that is obviously marketing.
The media machine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, for me, I look at this stuff and I kind of go, I don't really give a shit about leaks happening. I appreciate that as part of the business, people want to control it and to make sure they go to market with their products in the best way possible. But, as always, you usually have to cut through the PR machine to find out what the thing's actually like anyway. So if stuff comes out, if it gets my interest, it gets my interest. And there's this whole adage of, no news is no news is bad news, or no coverage, no footage is negative stuff. So there's
no such thing as bad news.
Yeah,
or bad publicity. That's the one.
Hey!
We finally get there in the end.
High fives all around. Yeah, that was a successful high five.
For me, it falls down to one point. It's better that people care enough. I mean, this was from a developer that said this, and this pretty much sums up the way that I sort of think about it. It's better that people care enough to want to leak this information and want to tell people about it than, when you look at it in, like you say, here you go, here's a new game, and people just go, nah,
Yeah.
How demoralising is that? You've been working on this thing for 18 months, 2 years, you're finally ready to show the baby off into the world. Some fucking sneaky bastard gets the first scoop before you can sort of get your measured one that you wanted to do.
Message
and
out,
then
yeah.
just no one cares. So then you've got 3 days of, great, so we're going to make our official announcement and 3 people are going to watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Brutal.
yeah, it's probably a good thing that there are leaks going on, because it shows people that gives a shit, and it doesn't happen in industries that nobody cares about. It's like, let's say for like the gardening magazine or some really lame thing, it's just like there's no leaks in that because people don't care.
But even in big ones, people are like, did you know that Estee Lauder are coming out with a new fragrance? You know, that doesn't happen. Nobody gives a shit. You know, I mean,
Apart
maybe
from obviously people in the perfume industry, but outside of it, the actual market itself, it's just like, all right, here's another. We're paying for a stupid price for a really cool looking bottle.
if somebody leaks Call of Duty, which they did, it's everywhere.
Yeah. And then it's ready to be downvoted because the people still don't want more and more sci-fi shooters. Because look at how Battlefield 1 just got massively upvoted.
Yeah.
And Infinite Warfare just was like, no.
Yeah.
Just, no.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like a Call of Duty game. Anyway, cool. Okay, so
I think that's pretty much it. I've got it out of my system.
Yeah.
Not that what there was of it.
leaks. If to summarise with one noise is meh.
Yeah. That horrible sound that you'd hear that no one cares about your game.
Yeah. It's like when somebody farts in front of you and you don't even bother to acknowledge it. It's just like.
It's generally those kinds of farts as well. That's what they sound like.
Cool. So let's bust on over to our Uncharted.
It's a good one this week, though. I think this is where the bulk of it. And
This is kind of like the. You know, I'm quite eager to talk about this one because this is exciting times. Let's find out what it is. It's back to the old Uncharted voice. Uncharted territory. It's that unknown wonderland, Link, that we ramble our way through. We just get lost in the gaming ether. Isn't it a tremendous place?
It can be. Sometimes it gets a little lost itself.
Yeah, but are you getting a Breath of the Wild for this week?
Yes. Yeah. No. Obviously, last week, pretty much. Well, 95% of all Nintendo's showing at E3 was just Zelda.
They did some other thing called Pokemon, but
you can spell that. Obviously, Paper Mario, but again, we digress. So there's a lot of new stuff to talk about. Obviously, the new directions that Anuma-san and the team have gone through.
It's Zelda, Link. It's Zelda. It's finally it's new Zelda. We're starting to get a feel for what it's about. We know the direction they're trying to take this game. Are you not like about this? I mean, sorry.
Yeah, I know. But someone's got to stay grounded with it all.
Yeah, but okay, sorry.
No, I think it's. Again, it's Zelda. It's good that it's starting to change up the formula. I think it was getting a bit stale.
A little bit, but is this how does the Zelda fan in you feel? Are you not like, or are you just hugging all of this new change?
I'm just waiting till March, basically. Just bide my time. Don't worry about it. Just forget about it. Don't do some Cartman-esque try and freeze myself for 5 months and wake up in the future and battle otters.
What's the changes then? Come on, let's hit it. There's one biggie, isn't there? There's one like huge one that
there's
been like
loads.
top of the banner though that everyone's going.
Oh, the removal of the contextual button.
The jump.
Yeah.
They've added jump into it. Oh, sorry, not it's always had jump, but
it was not. It was
dedicated button to jump.
I don't know. I don't think it really matters too much.
I didn't give a shit. I was like, well, it worked before, and if it works now, then with a button, great. But
it's. But when you see that the like you say, the scope and the scale of the game is expanding in the way it is. I mean, it is a lot more progressive in how you want to do it. how you because you can pretty much
Well, it's open world, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
within the first few minutes, or open air, as Bill Trinan has coined.
Nice touch.
But yeah, you're pretty much free to do what you want. If when you first emerge from your slumber, you want to go and head off to the mountain you see in the far distance, you can obviously go off and do that. There's nothing that restricts you from other than the environmental elements, which is obviously another new addition. But I suppose the easiest thing really is to just go through and highlight a few, and then we can expand upon them really.
So for me, a really good one for us to start on is the Sheikah Slate, which is like this. It's basically like the smartphone of
Hyrillian.
It's what there's an app for that kind of stone, isn't there?
Well, it opens up the possibilities to newer puzzle elements. Obviously, there's a lot more physics-based stuff, less more sort of mechanical. Move this box here or take this fire here, kind of puzzles. And obviously, there's one where you can shift and move metal. You've seen obviously you can chop down trees and stuff to advance to your advantage, to cross chasms and various other bits and bobs.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I understand it is it's got like ruins. The slate's got like ruins, and basically there's like a stasis one for like freezing time. There's like a magnesis one for like you said, metal objects, but like they put an emphasis around like metal boulders at enemies, like 10-pin bowling or something.
Yeah.
But there's like a freeze one for like pillars or little pathways and stuff like that. So I guess that's your kind of like the elemental bits that they're trying to, because they always throw in like an elemental feel into the Zelda game somewhere or another. But it's not just like here's a new gadget, here's a new toy, is it? You know, they've done a lot more.
Well, again, like you say, it does actually feel like sort of a living, breathing world.
It feels maturer, a more mature look at Zelda. You know?
There's been a big criticism of Nintendo games of late that there's a lot more hand-holding than there ever used to be. Obviously Zelda was one of those, that it was basically talk to this important NPC, go to this, do this quest, and then unlock this dungeon,
get this item, be able to access the next bit.
Exactly, and it was very much a linear, even though it was quite an expansive, even like Ocarina of Time, you can pretty much run around anywhere you want until you get to the points where you're stopped by your lack of a certain item or ability. But this it's just completely open. I mean, they said you can essentially complete the game without actually doing the story, which a lot of games have sort of emphasising now. But there is, like, you know, you can just go off and just have fun and just go and live in the world sort of thing. But no, there's obviously like cooking and stuff. The whole Zelda makeup is kind of changing, because obviously items and different clothing and stuff and armour sets have always been a staple of Zelda, but now... But
they were kind of prescribed before, so you're at this point in the game, you want to go through the fire section, you need the fire armour or the fire shield or whatever. Whereas
this, it's a lot more
organic.
Varied and organic, which is a really good way of putting it. Obviously you've got cooking.
So I mean, and when we say cooking, it isn't just like sit down, press a button, you cook, you eat, you get life back, is it?
No,
it's cooking.
You've got recipes where you can add sort of meats and vegetables together and bugs and stuff, and it'll give you certain buffs and health attributes. Your clothing, obviously, there's a lot more varied in clothing now.
So they've put in this whole temperature thing now, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, you know, Link could be freezing his ass off if you don't put on like some thermal underpants, or basically
get to a fire, or like you say, eat certain foods. Like you say, spicy foods will help you keep warm, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to see.
It's quite a novel way to go, isn't it?
I mean, again, it came out today through some interviews with not today, but this week with Miyamoto, and he was talking about it. Obviously, they've got Monolith Soft. They've got 100 of staff working on Zelda as well. Obviously, the people that do the Xenoblade Chronicles. So it's what I mean. You've got some good, talented guys helping out Nintendo.
But I mean, I was looking at it, and even silly little things like old staples. Like how many times in a game where you're moving along, you see a beehive, and an enemy sat underneath it, and you go, hit the beehive, disrupt the enemy. Now, it's stuff you just know to do, but it wasn't really that prevalent in previous games, you
No.
know, where they've really tried adding that whole, I'm going to sit here in the grass, because they've added, and I'm kind of moving on to another one here, the sound, the stealth ability. You have the ability to move around quietly, so you can hunt from the deep grass, fire an arrow, disrupt them with a bees attacking them, and then pile in afterwards.
Yeah, and obviously with some of the other abilities, as we can get like lightning arrows, and if you've got dry grass, you can sort of set a fire in the grass, and if it's windy, then it'll sort of blow towards the camp. And like you said, there's loads more emergent gameplay.
That's a nice idea, just like
changes,
lighting the grass and letting the wind blow it into them, you know,
and just saying here's nature, bitches. So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, we've got the loot systems as well, so it's not just a case of once you've found a sword, that's it, that's the sword you'll use. You'll have to use different varieties of weapons. Obviously, there's clubs and axes and two-handed swords. And
there's durability as well. This is a
yeah.
big part of it now, isn't there? So, I mean, like that sword, that beloved sword you've got. So, I mean, first thing first, you beast an enemy, he goes down. You can take his weapon, his club, and be like whammy. But equally, you keep rinsing that club, it will break, or it can break. So, this is the first time we've seen this in in this environment, in this Zelda game. It's always, you've got the sword of time, and you beast people with it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, this is again some of the new changes.
Durability, stamina. So you're in fights now.
Yeah.
Well, climbing anything.
And even the fighting system itself has changed. It's not just sort of the standard Zelda anymore. Obviously, you've still got the charge and the spin, but there's new sort of added gameplay with the Fury system, isn't there? So that it will sort of slow down if you can connect in a certain combos. Then it'll slow the enemies down, and you can go in and absolutely hammer the crap out of them.
Yeah, so if somebody attacks you, you do like what they call like a perfect dodge, and if you go perfect dodge, it like goes into bullet time and brings up like a fury button, and you can beast them. Or you've got like the perfect blocks as well. So they've upgraded the fighting system quite a lot. That's interesting stuff.
It's looking good. Obviously, and the other big one as well is obviously along with the jumping is the climbing. So whereas before it was a case of, you've looked for a certain texture and you can climb it. Now you pretty much most rough surfaces.
Because we were watching an interview with, I can't remember who it was on. They were talking about the history of Zelda and sort of the moving over to sort of what they've achieved now in Breath of the Wild. And he was kind of saying that we always had to allude to an open world before we can actually accomplish it. So everything was like little fortress areas, and you always had to go in through a specific route and all this.
Yeah.
And now you don't have that. If you know what you want to be is on the other side of that mountain, you can take the path around it, or
you just climb. As long as you've got the stamina, you can just climb over it. Because there could be something at the peak, some hidden little gem of weapon or armor. That's what I mean.
It's exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like little mini dungeons scattered about, isn't there, and treasures and like you said, it's whilst Zelda games have always been about exploration. It seems that this one's trying to go back to the system of the first one, because if you wanted to in the first one, you could walk straight up to Ganon and try and kick his ass. Obviously, you'd get bitch slapped, but yeah, you could. It's doable. And this one's sort of trying to go back to those roots, and I think it's nothing but good things, really. The fact that we know it's accompanying a new Nintendo console.
Yeah.
So it's a second reason to look forward to it, because I'd be surprised if it sells in any great number on the Wii U. I can see it selling a great number of NX consoles.
Yes.
But again, all we've seen is Wii U stuff, and it looks unbelievably. It's stunning. I mean, it drops here and there now and again, but it doesn't drop any great drastic measures.
We're talking frame rates here.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo are notoriously good at optimization.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it in any way, shape, form at all.
What about things like, I mean, so in previous games we've seen things like paragliding or at least floating down on leaves, but We've got a bit of paragliding in this
Yeah,
now.
it's back. Obviously, there's a couple of other traversal options. As you can go on your shield.
Snowboarding, yeah.
Snowboarding on your shield, but again, it will degrade the durability of your shield. So
this is it. Stuff like this is.
So I love the idea though that you're going to keep shields aside just for snowboarding.
Yeah,
like, that's a good snowboarding shield. I'll keep that one. It's a crap fighting shield, but it's a good snowboarding shield. And you right, I'm going to go fucking scale some peaks and catch some.
That's assuming you can hold
waves.
more than one shield at once.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Hopefully.
Well, it's like the old hopefully like most Zelda games, and you've got like the Mary Poppins pockets.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't do no weight system because that'll piss me off.
Oh man, yeah. Don't need to do that. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's looking cool, man. It's
looking very cool.
Really cool.
Again, I love the look of it. It does. It just reminds you of like you say, some good sort of quality looking animation. Obviously, it was a big influence on the art style. New
hairdo.
Yeah, I'm liking. Well, again, it goes back to. Do you remember the old Link cartoons?
Yeah.
Wow. And it sort of goes back to like that 90s Link to the past.
Yeah, the long sort of like elven hair.
Yeah, with
look.
the bangs.
Yeah,
Whereas Elvin is Link Kikiri bangs. There you go. I've coined the term Kikiri bangs. That almost sounds like a Japanese porn star.
Kikiri bangs. She sure does. Sweet. So,
yes.
Any more for you on Zelda?
Again, I just think it's just a really impressive series of demos from Nintendo. I think they did the right thing in the end by just saying here's just shitloads of footage, and the fact that
that's the way to do
what they showed was very little. All it was just in the main plains, so you're not really seeing any sort of dungeon areas,
gameplay.
No.
Yeah, but even see little things like here's Epona, see how Epona doesn't run into trees.
Yeah,
it's like brilliant. Love Amazing. That straight away. It's not going to be a bitch to traverse the map.
A few new other moves from Epona's back as well. You can obviously leap and jump.
Yeah.
So obviously we've seen with the climbing mechanics on some of the enemies. So I like the idea that you better sort of run up, charge up, and just jump on and sort of save yourself half an effort. So yeah, it's a lot of new ideas and systems and gameplay mechanics that I think should reinvigorate the Zelda franchise.
Yeah.
And I think for me it will really pretty much sell consoles for Nintendo for the NX. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's looking very promising. And again, it was one of those, you always knew that it's Nintendo, they're not going to fuck it up.
They have never fucked up, really. I mean, I know we can all go out and look for specific silly examples, but generally they don't fuck up.
They take missteps of certain franchises. I mean, Mario Kart Double Dash for me was the main one for me, but all of their Zelda games have been solid. Like all of the stuff, the Spirit Tracks, the Phantom Hourglass, Majora's Mask, all of the little side project ones that they've done have all been solid games. Even like the Four Swords Adventures, that was a brilliant game. That was a reason to own 4 Game Boy Advances. It really was. I love that game. But I think that Zelda is generally the one consistency that Nintendo always knocked out of the park. I mean, even Twilight Princess, people slated it at the time, sort of saying it was very very iterative of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
But then, like, when they made Wind Waker and everyone screamed like a bunch of children, we just want Ocarina of Time in better looking graphics, and they did that, and they kind of slated it and moaned that it was just a reiteration of Ocarina of Time, but better.
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword, yeah, that was a bit of a...
I don't know. I think everybody was like, finally, it's the origin storyline. We need this shit. Yeah. So, anyway. But all in all, yeah, Zelda, can't wait for it. It's going to be strong, I think. They're not going to get it wrong. Can't wait for it. Eager beaver.
Looking forward to taking a game show this year. Hopefully Nintendo, even at least around that time, start laying down some solid facts. Even if it's just a case of here's when we're going to show it, and show off the NX, and here's its final name. Hopefully, I really hope they stick with NX.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Because I think that's a cool name.
It's catchy, yeah.
Because it is the Nintendo Exchange.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of from what we've heard, what the console could be about. and like you say, the portability of it, and the fact that you've got your Nintendo anywhere you want to go. That's a fucking 100 million selling console for me.
I'm just going to throw this out there right now. I think what they're going to do is release a console which allows you to download all the apps that you get on your phones and such like through their shop. So they get a little Apple shop or whatever you want to call it.
I think they're gonna, with just the virtual console alone.
Yeah.
Again, they don't have to worry about emulators then, because you can buy the actual Nintendo ones.
Yeah.
For me, that's an instant buy, because it's such good for heritage. Even if they can get some of their old third party stuff, the DS stuff alone.
Yeah.
Something that can play that kind of shit.
And this is why this section is called Uncharted
We're
Territory.
sticking with Nintendo though, and it's still it's linked. There's a segue, because this is obviously the big first NX high profile release. Obviously the second being Just Dance 2017.
Shit hot.
Amazing.
Can't wait.
There's my second game purchase.
Back of the net. So a little bit of housekeeping with the podcast, the B button as a whole. We're going to hammer on a bit more regularity on this one, so you're going to be seeing solid uploads on a weekend basis. That's my commitment right there. Shazam.
Like you say, the last couple of months has been a bit of a mad
moving B button towers has been a bitch.
Monumental undertaking.
Yeah.
But it is, like you say, I'm just going to be a bit more consistent, like we were obviously prior to the big move.
Yeah, and I'm also putting my flag in the sand right now, and I'm going to say we are going to also start uploading some gameplay footage with general commentary, thoughts and such like.
Your review here and there.
Yeah, exactly that.
Little roundup of
our belated reviews, also known as delayed reaction.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a bit more.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, folks, well, there we are. Another fun-filled edition of The B-Bun, episode 16. Oh, man, I'm just all about Zelda this week.
Yeah, just looking forward to that. Can't wait.
And shitting on Mighty Number 9.
Oh, and No Man's Sky. Still got to buy my PS4.
So, Angry Link, from yourself, it's...
Hopefully Sony drops the price of the PS4.
And from me, it's Sony, drop the price of your PS4 for Link, please. Auf Wiedersehen.
Adios.